lecture. The title is What's Next? So let's join. I think they changed the time on us, didn't they?
Right.
So when you see this after 93 years, you don't even, I don't even cherry with it no more. Because I already know what it is. It's like, the writing's on the wall. I'm not good at managing people, and I'm not good at busing. And I don't like to bust because I bust, I lose. And I get the same thing over again. This what he told me in the early 2000s. But I was always just mouthy. He wanted to fire some of these people. He said, some of these people, then we're gonna put somebody in there, the same person we fired, we're gonna get again. And we're gonna do.
Assalamu alaikum, Chief.
The doc here.
Yeah, he's here.
Yeah, the doc, he came on his clock.
Assalamu alaikum, Dr.
Wa alaikum salam. Wa alaikum salam. Wa alaikum salam. Ramadan Mubarak. How's everyone today? How's everyone today? I'm fine, thanks to Allah. Looked like the devil changed the time, didn't he? Yeah, by the time, surely man is at loss.
Yeah, we're an hour ahead.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
People were extra sleepy this morning.
What time would it normally be? At 7 o'clock right now?
Be 8 o'clock your time. No, I'm sorry, 7 o'clock. You're right. Your time.
Yeah, spring ahead and fall back.
I ain't even recognize that, Doc. I was looking at my phone because somebody told me that the other day, and I'm like, why am I so woke? If this change, if it went up, I went to bed at 12 o'clock at night, and I shouldn't have had no sleep.
No, it's just devilishment. See, they know there's 1.6 billion Muslims around the world trying to fast through Ramadan, and so they just trick up the time to throw the Muslims off, to make what we're trying to do more difficult, because they're so angry at what's happening to them over in the Middle East. So they're just taking out revenge on the Muslims to throw you off. So you're out of time with God. You're out of sync with God. They know what time it is. Some say these are the nights of power upon us already. They're trying to throw you off, so you're not ready to receive the blessings that Allah wants to give you. So they change the time up on you. I mean, they do it every year, but this year is special.
Yes, sir. All praise.
They're trying to make us the losers. By the time, surely man is at loss. They know we have an appointment with Allah and the angels sometime this month. They're trying to throw us off. So we're late. Don't show up. Miss the blessing. That's how I see it.
You're right. 100% right. I mean, the proof is in the pudding.
Yeah.
And that's what we're talking about today. The subject matter this morning was we normally break down the Quran. We don't just skate through it. Read the Quran at the end of the month. You're just nothing more than a donkey with a bunch of books on your back that went up the mountain. You're still a jackass. You don't understand that. The minister said it best. He's been preaching you for 30 years, and you haven't produced nothing. I know you've been practicing Ramadan for 30 years. You read the Quran 30 times. If you're Muslim, then it still didn't materialize. So what I did today is I told the sisters to do the Quranic reading today, because the last 18, what day 19?
19.
Yeah, so the last 18 days in the last couple of years, we've been breaking down the Quran, not just skating through it. That's what we do every morning. and we'll take a couple verses and break it down and put things together and make you understand the word instead of just surfing through it. So I told them to go ahead and surf through it today. And so they each one of them had a section and they just read on through it. And then I said, after y'all do that, go ahead and dialogue on it and deal with the ritual, traditional way of reading it juxtaposed to understanding it. I want y'all to be able to have some deliberative dialogue on that.
Oh, that's great.
So they
That's
did it
great.
all morning.
That's great.
So they really had some stories to tell. They did it. And what Anime said, Antoinette said, I just hope that we never have to do that again.
I didn't get that. She said what?
She was because reading it, just read it, and because what happens is I'll read two sections, Doc will read 2 sections, Sandra will do 2 sections, and so on, so on, so on, so on until we're finished with today's reading. So all I'm doing is waiting on my reading, and then Antoinette said when my turn came up to read, I was more focused on being right, on reading it. I didn't understand nothing the person read before me or the one who fell behind me who did their 2 sections because I'm over here focused on me reading mine and not messing up.
Yes, yes.
I ain't had no chance to understand. I read, but this is not what they do. They do this every day of the week in the community with your immunity. No, what is that one? In the morning we go to every morning.
Uma reflects.
The Uma reflects with Sister Dr. Nisa, and so they just read on through. You listen to them reading. It's almost like Siri reading to you, but you're not catching it because she's moving too quick. So that's what they studied today. They actually did it, and then they've been breaking that down, and we've been up since 4 this morning.
Yes.
So that was subject matter.
Well, that's very good. Let me say a couple of things about that. See, that's a form of dialogue, and that's would be called syntopic dialogue. Syntopic dialogue. And another way of doing the same thing is to read the same verses from different translations or by different translators. See, in other words, syntopic means that you're combining the thoughts of different people. And you can either do that by reading different translators of the same verses, or as you were doing it, you have different people give their interpretations as though they are the translators of the verse. They're giving their translation. See, don't forget the true meaning of dialogue. The word dialogue means the flow of meaning. So that verse in the Quran has no value unless it has meaning or is able to convey meaning to me, to you, to whoever reads it or studies it or recites it. And don't forget the word ikra means read, but that also means recite. So part of it is the fact that when you read or recite out loud, that's closer to what you should be doing in the first place. People who study the Quran in silence, that's a certain type of study, but it's closer to correct study for it to be recited, because it was originally recited to Muhammad, alayhi salam, and then Muhammad, because he was illiterate, he didn't write it down, he recited it to others. So the full meaning of the Quran cannot be conveyed in silence. So the fact that you read it out loud to one another. See, the second point I'll make, and this is about dialogue in general, and this has to do with time limits. See, if you notice, if there's time limits on the dialogue speakers, then it means the majority of the time in dialogue is spent listening. The majority of the time in dialogue is spent listening. The greater part of dialogue is listening to other people. That's why it's a learning tool. You don't learn anything when you're running your mouth, or very little. And if you learn anything from running your mouth, it's the feedback that you get from other people after you stop running your mouth. And so the greater part of dialogue is listening. Now, I came on, Sister mentioned Scientology. Well, what's the basis of Scientology working? The science of the mind. What is auditing? Auditing means listening. The reason why people get better with Scientology auditing is because for once in their life, somebody is listening to me. Someone is listening to me. And that's a new experience for many of us. Whoever listened to you before? Whoever paid any attention to what you had to say? When did your opinion ever count with anybody? And so that's the beauty of dialogue, that all of a sudden your opinion counts. All of a sudden you have something to say. All of a sudden all ears are on you. And so that's a new experience, and sometimes it can be frightening to people, kind of a stage fright kind of a thing. Sister was saying, I wanted to make sure I was reading it right. Well, that's how people are in dialogue. I want to make sure I don't make any mistakes. I want to make sure everything I say is right. Well, do the best you can, but everything you say is not going to be right. That's the beauty of dialogue. If you make a mistake, it gets instantly corrected by somebody else in the dialogue circle. They agree with 80% of what you said, but 20% was wrong. And so it gets thrown out. And so that's how it is with everybody. Part of what you say is right, but what about the other part? That's what's throwing you off. And you can't wash your own back. You can't see it. That's why you have a back, so somebody else can wash it. So that's what happens in dialogue. And so that kind of study, the collective study, syntopic study, if you will, you should look that word up because it's the key to broad understanding and in-depth understanding. It's sort of like the reason why you have 2 ears and 2 eyes, because it gives you depth perception. So that's what dialogue does. It gives you depth perception because you are seeing the same thing from many points of view, if you listen. But if all you're doing is worrying about yourself and what you're getting ready to say, then you miss the greater part of dialogue, which is to listen to other people. And you find out how smart they are. And then they find out how smart you are when you have your chance to speak. So that's great, Chief. That's a good way to study, collective study, because it helps with the true purpose of dialogue, which I repeat, and many people miss this point, is the flow of meaning. You actually find out what that verse means. You find out what it means to you. That's the only value. What does it mean to you? Well, how do you find out what it means to you? Unless you say it. And you listen to other people tell you what it means to them. And then you have a greater understanding of what it truly means from the viewpoint of God. What do you think it means to God? So God is there in the midst of you. Wherever 2 or 3 of you are gathered together, there I am also in the midst. So you're putting that into action, and you see the benefit of it. And you see the joy that's in it. It makes you happy, doesn't it? Yeah, it makes you happy. So, Chief, I sent you some images that I was going to use today, just a little while ago. So we're live on YouTube as well right now.
Yeah, we live on Facebook too. you ever send me the images? Huh?
Are you asking me? I sent you 9 images, I think. I think it was 9.
Sent 9 images.
Yeah, just 20 minutes ago or so.
Okay, cool. So you have 617 views right now. I don't know, but they be riding with us. It's riding. Praise be to Allah. Sister Samia, you had your hand up. I don't want to just blow that off.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. I just wanted to complete my thought, and I didn't. I was instructed to see the Scientologists who all, as soon as they got off the stage, basically bum rushed me, and they put me under an examination on the meter, as it was called, and a series of written questions that I had to answer. And all of that was completed. The outcome was that I was to advance straight to study technology, which I was selected to go on that commission at Applied Scholastics International in St. Louis with some of the rest of the scholars in the nation, which was an honor and a privilege. But my point was, I was never heard. I did what was requested of me, but I still wasn't heard. I never got a response, and I never was allowed to say what I wanted to say that day. We were all asked if we had any questions or any input, and I did respond, but I was sent to the Scientologists. So I just wanted to put a conclusion on it. Thank you for allowing me to do so.
Chief, can I respond to that?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
And let me ask the sister who just spoke, what year was that?
It was when, I don't remember the exact year, I apologize for that, but it was when Brother Minister came and introduced Scientology to us at the Celebrity Center.
Okay, that was in 2009.
Yes, sir, in California when he came, and he was supposed to release the tapes, but I understand he changed his mind.
Yes, that was a white linen event at the Scientology Celebrity Center.
Yes, sir.
And I believe it was in May of 2009. And I was there. And so the reason I wanted to have something to say in response to what you just said is that a lot of people around the nation are of the mistaken notion that I had something to do with introducing Scientology to the Nation of Islam. And nothing could be further from the truth. I benefited from Scientology upon the death of my wife in 2008. And I was in a deep state of grief and what they called a ruin, to use a Scientology term. They said you were in a state of ruin. And I did a procedure called life repair, and it worked. It helped me tremendously. And I'm forever grateful to the help that I received from the Church of Scientology. Because if I had not received that help, I probably wouldn't be here today. And I've learned a lot from the Scientologists since that time. I've read all of the books and I've done most of the courses because it's a lot to learn and it's very interesting and it's very edifying. However, I do not think it was a good idea to turn you as an individual person or to turn the entire Nation of Islam over into the hands of the Church of Scientology. See, that was the event, and I've mentioned this, that was the event at the Celebrity Center where the minister announced the marriage between the Church of Scientology and the Nation of Islam, even though he was standing there by himself. He didn't have David Miscavige, the chairman of the board. It would have been different if the both of them had been standing there together saying that we are now married. But the minister announced that he was marrying the Nation of Islam to the Church of Scientology, and he was standing there by himself. So unlike you, I did have an opportunity later to ask him about that at the palace. And I asked him, how is it that you could announce a marriage and you're standing there by yourself? Every marriage that I've been to, there was a bride and a groom. So if there's a marriage between the Church of Scientology and the Nation of Islam, who's the bride and who's the groom? And that's important to know because somebody has to give up their identity. Somebody has to give up their name. So which one is it going to be? Is the Nation of Islam going to give up its identity and take on the identity of Scientology? Or is the Church of Scientology, are they going to subsume themselves to us? Well, there wasn't really an answer to that. But let me go a little bit deeper. You see, many of these broadcasts that I've done with prayer and fasting, especially the last 3 or 4 months, it's been nonstop about the 9 ministries. That's all I talk about. I act as though the 9 ministries would be the answer to all our problems, because I think they would be. And I've talked about the 7 years of labor of the commission and the deliberative dialogue process that produced the program initiatives of the 9 ministries, and how that was rejected at the Farm Conference in 2007. So my partner, my business partner, my friend, my brother, Brother Michael Billion, and he was my right-hand assistant, along with Sister Lydia, with the commission. And so we continued to press forward. Even though what happened at the farm happened, Brother Michael and I continued to press forward with efforts to implement the 9 ministries. You remember the dialogue session that I gave at Mount Mariam for about 4 weeks, 5 weeks in a row, followed by a management series by Brother Michael at Mount Mariam on Tuesday evenings. And then we made a contract with the minister that we would run Savior's Day. And we did that for 2 years in a row at the Rosemont Center. But all along, at the same time, we were in dialogue with the minister constantly concerning the 9 ministries and the need to implement them. And several times I said, if you don't do anything else, you don't have to do anything else but the one thing that you must do. You must set up a Department of Human Resource Management, because you're making terrible personnel decisions. You have the wrong people in the wrong place. And so we need to do a proper census of the nation so we know who we have and put our best foot forward. But you can only do that if you actually interview people, sit down and talk to them, find out who they are and what they want to do and what they're already doing. And so, of course, that was never done. Now, there was one other proposal that I made individually, even before the years of the commission. When it goes back to when I was sworn in as minister here in Washington, D.C. And I said to the minister afterwards, what do I know about being a minister? Whoever trained me to be a minister? So when are you going to set up the minister's class so I can actually be trained to be a minister? I'm not a minister, I'm a doctor. I'm trained to be a doctor. I'm not trained to be a minister. Well, of course, the ministry class was never set up. And so all of the complaints around the nation of my ministers did this, my minister did that. Well, whoever trained your minister? Whoever said they were qualified? Most of them don't know as much as you. And so without a minister's class, see, what does the supreme wisdom say? Absences in the ministry's class must be investigated. Well, what about when there's an absence of a minister's class?
Cool.
All the ministers are absent from the minister's class because there is no minister's class. So all of that must be investigated. According to the supreme wisdom, what's the reason for there not being a minister's class? When that's a vital part of the engine that drove the nation of Islam to the success and progress that we enjoyed prior to 75. It was because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was intimately in a relationship with his ministers. They knew him and he knew them. But most of the ministers, so-called ministers, student ministers, whatever they're called now, they've never met the minister in person. They've never had a conversation with him. He doesn't know their names. I mean, you know, the big ones. Yes. How do I know? Because I arranged for him to meet all of his ministers a long time ago. Because he didn't know them. So, long story short, maybe I shouldn't have started such a long story. How you gonna keep a long story short? The only way to keep a long story short is not to tell it. But let me just say this, you know, in football they have what they call in desperation a Hail Mary pass. You know what a Hail Mary pass is. I mean, the game is lost, but you got one more desperate chance, you know, to throw the ball into the end zone and hope somebody catch it. You know, so Brother Michael and I got to that point where we were so desperate that the minister had rejected all of our work, all of our recommendations, wasn't doing anything, didn't set up the minister's class, didn't set up the human resource management department, didn't do anything. So it was sometime in 2010, I think 2009, and we wrote one last memo and was entitled Do or Die Points for the Nation of Islam. And it was sent to the minister. And we had whittled down all of the many things that the commission had recommended to just a handful of points. You know, just a handful of points. These are just the vital things that you must do. Even if you don't do the rest of it, you must do this. Otherwise, the nation is going to die. And so we waited and waited for a response. And then eventually I got a call from the minister's office. He was inviting Brother Michael and I to come out to the farm to discuss the memo. So we were excited. So we arrived at the farm that morning, flew in from Washington, and the room was full of all the national laborers, and the meeting had already started. And when Brother Michael and I walked in, the minister looked over and greeted us and said, I got your memo, but got your memo. And so then we had a seat, and we looked and saw that the person who was directing the meeting was a wonderful brother, friend of mine, Reverend Alfredi Johnson. Well, some of you know Reverend Alfredi Johnson. Reverend Alfredi Johnson is the most outstanding preacher that they have in the Church of Scientology. He's one of the greatest representatives of Scientology. They send Reverend Alfredi Johnson all over the world to introduce Scientology to people in Russia, in China, in countries all over the world. So there he was introducing Scientology to the Nation of Islam top laborers. And so Brother Michael and I were astounded. Is this what you mean? Is this your response to our memo? That instead of implementing the 9 ministries, instead of putting into effect even the do or die points, you're turning the whole nation over into the hands of the Church of Scientology so they can drain the money and the resources out of the nation and somehow solve magically the problems of the nation? Well, that's why I'm saying what I'm saying now, because I don't want to be blamed for that. I had nothing to do with that. I personally benefited from Scientology processing. And I would recommend Scientology processing to anybody who has personal problems of that nature. It really works. But I would not turn over, I wouldn't turn the entire population of the Nation of Islam over to another organization and claim that a marriage has taken place. So I just wanted to clear that up. I had nothing to do with that. And I recommended against it once I found out about it. I didn't think it was a wise move. I thought it would be a better idea. Sure, if some of us want to become very adept and advanced in Scientology, then go learn that and then bring it back to the home base. But to send everybody over there? And let me just say one other thing that's related to it. When that train left the station, so to speak, and there was nothing I could do about it, I said, okay, the Church of Scientology is in for a shock. They're in for a shock. They're in for the shock of their life dealing with these black Muslims, you know. And so I wrote a letter, a memo to, I forget who I wrote it to at first, but then they directed me. I didn't know they had a minister of health in the Church of Scientology. So then they directed me to their minister of health. You know, so I wrote a letter to her, and I said, well, you know, you're going to have an influx of Muslims from the Nation of Islam, and you know, or maybe you don't know, but we have a special way of eating. And I know in L. Ron Hubbard's books, Clear Mind, Clear Body, he said that he was the one to teach the science of the mind, but it was for someone else to teach the science of nutrition, that he was going to leave that to somebody else. So as the Minister of Health and Human Services of the Nation of Islam, I'm here to inform you that the person who is to teach the science of nutrition mentioned by L. Ron Hubbard, that is not him, that person is the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So I would advise you as the health minister in the Church of Scientology to read How to Eat to Live so you understand the Muslims. Because when they come to the Church of Scientology, they're not going to be like the other people that you're used to seeing. You're used to telling people that they have to get their rudiments in. They have to eat breakfast. They have to do this. They have to do that. I said, well, we don't eat breakfast. We eat one meal a day or less. So you're going to have to change the way that you define the rudiments to handle these people. They're not like the people that's coming off the street. You're giving everybody that comes there calcium, cow mag, and all kinds of supplements, and vitamin B and thiamine and all these things. These are not people that need that kind of stuff. These people practice how to eat, to live, and fasting. So you're going to have to accommodate yourself and your procedures to these special people called Nation of Islam Muslims. Boy, was I ever wrong. Was I ever wrong? Man, if those people, if the Scientologists told the Muslims to eat breakfast, the Muslims ate breakfast. They did everything those people told them to do. They lost all of their form of Islam. Everything the Scientologists told them to do, that's what they did. They forgot everything that they were told not to do about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and went on and did it. And I was so embarrassed because I had stood up for the Muslims as to how disciplined they were over their diet. And I found out they weren't disciplined at all.
Yes, sir.
They caved, almost all of them caved instantly. The only ones I know that didn't cave were like Brother Anthony and his wife. Brother Anthony was my front desk administrative assistant at the clinic. He and his wife eating one meal every 3 days. Okay, well they took the Church of Scientology to the mat. You telling us we got to eat every day? No, we're not. No, we're not. They took them to the mat. No, we have a right to learn Scientology, but we are not required to break our discipline given to us by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. They took them to the mat. And they made the Scientologists change their procedure to fit what they were doing because they took them to the mat. They were Muslims. We don't stop eating one meal every 3 days just because you say so. You don't have no authority over us like that. You see, so that was a big mistake. And so I just wanted to say these things to clear it up so people won't blame me. I didn't do that. I was against that. I'm not against Scientology, but I'm against turning the Nation of Islam over into the hands of any organization. If he had done it to the NAACP, I would have been against that. Maintain control. But again, that's the pattern. Why did the minister turn the nation over to Wallace in 1975? Because he didn't know what to do. That's what he said at the time. I didn't know what to do, but Wallace said he did know what to do. So I turned it over to him. Well, that was the same thing. I didn't know what to do, so I turned the nation over to the Church of Scientology. Why? Because they said they know what to do. I don't know what to do. I mean, that's just the pattern. So I heard you say, Chief, I mean, I don't remember clearly what you said, but, you know, certainly at 93, the minister's not going to do any more than what he's already done. But what did the Honorable Elijah Muhammad say about such things? He said you should never ask a man to do that which you know he cannot do. You should never ask a man to do that which you know he cannot do.
Exactly.
And so you just have to, that's why you engage in dialogues. So you find out, you know, the abilities, the capabilities, the knowledge base that a person has. And then you find out what they can do and what they can't do. And then you find out, you know, what they're good at and what they're not good at. And so then you manage that. That's how Duke Ellington ran his orchestra. Duke said he found out some of his musicians, they can only play 3 good notes. There's 12 notes in the 12-tone scale, but Duke found out some of the greatest musicians in the world, they can only make 3 notes sound good.
Ooh.
So then he would take those 3 or 4 notes that they could actually play, and he would compose a whole solo to make them sound good. And the notes where they couldn't make the horn sound like they're supposed to, he kept that out of their solo. So they always sounded good. So that's what dialogue does for you. It makes you always sound good, always look good, because you stay away from the things that you're not good at, and other people handle that. Where you're strong, somebody else is weak. Where you're weak, somebody else is strong. Well, how do you find out the difference among people? That is the difference among people. And so you find that out so you can get benefit from one another. But in order for that to happen, it's like on a sports team. You know, if I'm the quarterback and you're the wide receiver, I have to trust you.
Right.
We ran this play in practice so many times. Even though I'm getting ready to get tackled, I know where to throw the ball. I know where to put the ball down the field where you're supposed to be. You're supposed to meet the ball at a certain point on the field because we practiced this. And so even though I'm getting tackled by the defensive end of the other team, I'm putting the ball where it's supposed to be. I can't see it when it lands, but did you catch it? Were you where you're supposed to be? See, that's trust.
Yes.
That's trust. You see, and so that's how things get done, through trust. By knowing one another, and then respecting one another, and then trusting one another. Trusting one another enough, you know, that we actually put the destiny of the whole thing, the whole team, in one another's hands. you know, as is fitting, according to the game plan, according to the strategy, according to the program. If you're good at accounting, then you should be in charge of accounting. If you're good at sales, you should be in charge of sales. And of course, you know, organized like that, then we're always putting our best foot forward.
Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar. You know, Doc, it was two things, two things that you said. Number one, we don't have a ministry class. When I was at the meeting with Ishmael, they were telling me that I've been telling you to get into the ministry class. Now, the ministry class is ran by Jeffrey Muhammad in Mosque number 2, Brother Jeffrey, the assistant to Minister Ishmael. And he said, I told you this, you know, way back in the beginning. I said, you did, but I was fishing. I couldn't come in the ministry class. I can't do both. Not the level of fishing that I do. It just takes too much time over here, you know, so I never got into that, you know, as far as that's concerned. But the instructor of how to teach was Ishmael and Jeffrey. Those are your teachers in Mosque Mariam. But it's almost like, I mean, why would we want, what qualifications do you have as a minister that would qualify you to run that type of system? And what have you produced with all these student ministers that you've already had graduate from your ministry class? I never got into it. Go ahead, Doc.
Yeah, well, thank God you didn't. See, that's that would have been a catastrophe for your mind.
Yes.
That would have induced a tailspin spiritually that you may not have recovered from. See, I again, let me be clear. See, I just realized something listening to you and your experience. See, you said the ministry class at number 2 being run by Brother Jeffrey and Brother Ishmael. Well, the ministry class that I'm talking about at number 2 prior to 75 was run by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad himself. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad is the head of the ministers class. So if Minister Farrakhan is in the seat of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, it is part of his obligation, part of his responsibility to teach his ministers that are representing the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He has to know them, they have to know him, but they also have to know the teachings. Now let me explain how important that is, because people who have joined the nation in the rebuilding phase, they don't know anything about what I'm talking about. You think you do, but you don't actually understand what I'm talking about. So let me explain it. Once a month, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad met with all of his ministers in Chicago. All of them had to go. All the ministers that had a mosque with a number. Now, if you were a study group, maybe not. But essentially, you know, all of the numbered mosque ministers, they met with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad personally once a month, where they had an audience with him at the palace. And he told them whatever he wanted to tell them at that particular time. And what he told them at the ministers' meeting once a month corresponded to the articles that he was writing in the paper. The articles that he wrote in the paper, he said the Muhammad Speaks newspaper was his number 1 minister. That was his number 1 minister. So he wrote the articles that were teaching the entire population. And don't forget, we were selling 1 million papers a week. So that was the audience, 1 million a week, with the number 1 minister, the Muhammad Speaks. And he has an article in that Muhammad Speaks. That's not a reprint from 10 years ago. That's the Honorable Elijah Muhammad talking to the people in real time. This is what's going on right now. You're hearing from the messenger of Allah in real time with contemporary issues. And he had an army of FOI selling 1 million a week. And then the ministers in the mosques on their Sunday, Wednesdays, and Friday lectures, what are they teaching? They're teaching what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told them to teach when they met with him just last week, just last month. They're teaching what's in the paper. All of it's corresponding. All of it's in alignment. All of it makes sense from top to bottom. And here's the bonus. See, this is probably what kept me in the nation. With my smart behind. With my smart, I don't even want to use some profane language, but you know what I'm trying to say. I'll come into mosque with all these deep questions, because what, I'm a college student. I got deep questions. Well, a lot of the questions that I and other college students asked the local minister in Dayton, Ohio, he didn't have the answer. But guess what they used to say? He said, if you ask a question, after every meeting, you could ask questions. That was part of the routine. You could ask questions. And the local minister would say, if you ask a question and I have the answer to your question from the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I will answer your question. But if I do not have the answer to your question from the teachings, when next I see the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I will give him your question. And certainly Allah has given the Honorable Elijah Muhammad the answer to your question. And I will bring the answer to your question back from the messenger of Allah and give it to you. See, that's how the nation worked. So no matter what question I ask, what about the dinosaurs? We ask those kinds of questions. What about astrology? Since I was a literature major, what did Honorable Elijah, what was his opinion about poetry? We asked those questions. Tons of questions. And in less than a month, our minister came back from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and said, whoever asked the question, or you asked a question about the dinosaurs, here's what he said. You asked a question about the pyramids, you asked a question about reincarnation, you asked a question about whatever. Levitation, here's what he said. Now don't overlook the obvious. You got all of the ministers from around the nation of Islam flocking around the table of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to hear what he has to say. But look at the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He wants to know what the people said.
Mm-hmm.
What questions do they have for me? You all out there teaching. Okay, well now what came back from the public? What do they want to know? So each and every minister has a list of questions that came from his mosque. Here's a list of questions that came in Newark from over the last month. Here's a list of questions that came in from New Orleans and San Francisco. Every minister come there with a list of questions that came up that I couldn't answer, dear Holy Apostle. Somebody asked this question, I didn't have the answer. Would you please give me the answer? And he give that minister the answer to that particular question, but who's hearing it? All of the ministers are hearing it. That question wasn't maybe in my city, it didn't come up in my city, but somebody in my city is thinking it. And so all of the questions from all over the nation got raised in the hearing of all of the ministers, and all of the ministers heard all of the questions and heard all of the answers. You see how tremendous a learning experience that is?
Yes, sir.
And then they all go back with the answers to all of the questions. They're not just going back with the answers to the questions that came up in their mosque. They're going back with the answers to all of the questions that came up in everybody's mosque. And so that's how they were so smart. That's how it seemed like they knew everything. Because they were being fed like that on a constant basis. And that's how the nation was coordinated. And we did things together, and we could trust. See, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad could trust that the FOI, we're going to deliver you $1 million a month, dear Holy Apostle. We're out here on the street corners, and we're selling 1 million papers a week at 25 cents a paper. That equals $1 million a month. So you can go on and make your plans, dear Holy Apostle. Go on down to Peru if you want to and sign a contract. Because we out here working. We're going to give you $1 million a month to do with what you want. And we know the National Secretary is going to give us a report. And even if he doesn't give us a report, hey, we're going to see the progress. The ship is really down there in Mobile with 2.2 million pounds of fish in it. What you need a report for? Go unload the fish. That's your report. But when you don't see anything and don't hear anything, then you say, well, couldn't I at least get a report, a piece of paper? Could I just get a receipt? You see, that's how pitiful we are now. So I just wanted to make give you a better understanding of the significance of not having a minister's class. Because it means there is no direct personal relationship between Minister Farrakhan and any of his ministers, except a few. So he thinks Minister Ishmael is the best minister because that's pretty much the only one he knows. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that a person with a knowledge of mathematics, medicine, music, and the science of the rainbow is qualified to teach Islam. You see? So, in other words, so there should be a mathematics test of a minister. There should be a music test for a minister. You see? There should be a test in medicine for a minister. There should be a test on the science of the rainbow. You see, I'm not going to go into details about those different areas, but those are the qualifications of a minister. You say, well, every minister is not a doctor, but every minister in the Nation of Islam knows how to eat to live, or should. What greater medicine is it than that? So you have to absolutely know how to teach how to eat to live, because that's the medicine for the people. And of course, you have to be a sterling example. Why was it that I was eating one meal every 3 days at a certain point? Because my minister was eating one meal every 3 days before me. He was the example. That was David Bachar. He was showing us that it could be done, him and his wife. So then if he can do it, well, hey, I can do it. If I say I'm with him, how come he's doing it and I'm not doing it? But of course, if he had been a minister like we have today, with rolls of fat behind his ears and double and triple chin, big gut falling all over his belt, weighing 280 pounds and 300 pounds, and call yourself a minister or a secretary or a captain, don't you know prior to 75, you would have been busted on the spot. No questions asked. You'd have been busted on the spot just because of how you look. You couldn't look like that and be a minister. You couldn't be sick, fat, ugly. No. And that was strictly enforced. As a matter of fact, the believers wouldn't even tolerate you if you look like that. We tolerate people that we know aren't qualified. How's some big, ugly, fat man going to stand up in front of you and teach you something? And you sit there and take it. You ought to tell that fat, that ugly man, go sit down somewhere and get yourself together before you come out in the public looking so bad. You see, this is just real. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad didn't tolerate that. Fat and ugly, and you got some title? No, you don't. You're busted on the spot. You know, so I don't want to keep running my mouth, but I think it's my duty and obligation to let you know, give you a perspective on how things were. You only know how things are. That's not the way they were. They were better than this, and they can be better again. But we have to do the things again that made us successful then. So again, if the minister's listening, if Minister Ishmael's listening, I suppose they are, when are you going to set up the minister's class? And who's qualified to actually teach it? See, this is not 1975. This is not even 1985 or 1995 or 2005 or 2015. The actual question on the table is, in 2026, who's qualified to teach a minister's class in the Nation of Islam? Is it you? Is it me? I don't think so. There's no individual that's qualified. So what must we do? Well, we have to do it collectively then. I can do my part, you can do your part, if we're willing to sit down together. See, what is the actual definition from another point of view of a minister's class? See, you can think about it like a classroom, like a school. But isn't a class a certain category? Like a category of classification? You're a part of a certain class of person. They even say whether you're classy or not. Are you classy? You see, what is your class? What kind of class do you have? You see, are you a part of a spiritual caste or class? See, have you been cast in the spiritual mold of spiritual teachers? Well, then that's a certain class of person. There's a certain class of person that is spiritually inclined, that is spiritually gifted, has insight, has the ability to teach. See, that's a certain class of person. They don't need to be in some classroom under some teacher necessarily, because they are a certain class of person that have engaged in spiritual disciplines all their life. So if they need to know something, they're in close communication with Allah, the one that they represent. So if they need to know something, all they have to do is ask the God who knows everything. But again, so if you have a minister in title only, I'm a minister because somebody gave me a title. Well, you may not be of the class of person that is a real spiritual teacher. Somebody just gave you a spiritual title, but you are not of that class. You're not classy enough, if you understand me. So you got the title, but you don't have the class that goes with the title. You have to be a certain type of a person. See, you really have to be in a spiritual dimension, that brings you closer than most people to Allah and to the spiritual reality of things. You have to have a certain type of a heart. You have to have a certain type of a mind. You see, that's gained only through spiritual disciplines of prayer and fasting. How much praying do you do? How much fasting do you do? Well, I don't do any. Well, then how can you teach? How can you be a spiritual teacher? You can't. You're just fooling yourself and you're fooling others. You see, and that's why there's no progress.
Hey Doc, you cooking so good, and you done got me over here. Doc, when you were talking about the Scientology, right? And I lived in Mosque number 2. So when you said that you told the people at Scientology, you going to have to rearrange this for the people that's coming from Islam, because they don't get down like y'all get down, right? And when you were saying, I was laughing my head off because I see him eating breakfast all the time over here at Mosque number 2. So when you said, when you said that, I said, me knowing my people, right? I said, boy, when we go to that Scientology, the minister told us to come over here and do everything they say do. Okay, cool. So if they told us to eat, damn it, you told us what we always wanted to do anyways. So they eat like wolf pancakes, eggs, and sheep. They're doing what the minister instructed them to do under the order of Scientology. So the discipline that we were supposed to have from prior to 75 with How to Eat to Live, it never was embraced. Period. And this new because like you said, you start eating one meal a day because you saw your minister Bashar. You see what I'm saying?
One meal every 3 days.
Every 3 days, because you didn't do it because you just did it. You did it because someone was a living example.
That's right.
And these brothers and sisters over here is eating like they're eating because they have a living example in Abdul Malik. So with the minister not being really embracing How to Eat to Live, kind of frowning upon it because he said it was one discipline that he broke and he couldn't keep away from the table. So now he has a party of people, and just to give you a little sneak peek on something that happened around about 5 years ago with Captain Dennis. Captain Dennis was on prayer and fasting with us, and Sister Sania asked him, why don't he join on to prayer and fasting? The lady who was just asking you about the Scientology got us into this. She was asking him that, and he was like, man, I did that already. I ain't finna do that no more. She said, that's for y'all youngsters. This is what he said. This is Captain Dennis. So she kind of paraded him a bit and went in on him a little bit more. She said, well, this is no age. Praying and fasting is not for the young or the old. It's a perpetual something. It's a principle of Islam that never grows in age. So it's something that you can tackle right now. So then he went off. So I said, I'm not going to do it. I would ride with the minister. We was eating with kings and rulers. I said, who? Kings and rulers. All over the world. So the minister, who is clearly not a dietary person, according to his own words, that I break my discipline. I'm not good with that. I don't even fast on Ramadan. I give food to other people. And plus, he said I had a plausible excuse using deceptive intelligence. He said I said that I had cancer and so I'm gonna eat. But the food is what bulges up the cancer. But he just told us on one of these tapes we got right here. We have a clip, and he's like, I just couldn't I couldn't push back from the table. So now he has a E-team and a minister's team that follows him all over the world when he sits down to eat, because this is something that he gets joy from. Most people gets excited when they eat. So now he got all of these brothers and sisters that's younger, like Captain Dennis, and they sit there and eat at the table with kings and rulers. So whenever the minister ate, if he ate 2 times a day, 3 times a day, whatever he ate, they ate with him. So now you look at Captain Dennis, he's 379 pounds or some crazy amount. And he's been on a operating table. He told me he died 3 times on the operating table. And they brought him back 3 times. And he got out of that. And he still is not adhering to the life-giving teachings of Alim Muhammad as far as how to eat to live. Yeah. So you have a nation of brothers and sisters who do not want to fast and pray, like you said, because we have a leader that does not really promote praying and fasting to the point that will encourage or have examples set us for that.
You know, let me say something about Brother Captain Dennis, because I know Captain Dennis all the way back, all the way back in the early days. He's from Ohio. These are Ohio soldiers. He's from Columbus, Ohio, just like Sister Ava from Columbus, Ohio. That's where we soldiered. That's our old stomping ground. So I remember Dennis when he first came in the nation. And so the discipline that I was talking about at that time, eating 1 meal every 3 days, Dennis knows about that. I don't know if he was doing that, but quite a few of us were doing that at that time. So he knew about it, even if he wasn't doing it. He knew about it, you know, and he wasn't 300 pounds then. Brother Dennis was probably about 170 pounds, maybe 180 pounds at the most. You know, so he's doubled in weight since those days. So I understand what he means when he said, I've been there, done that kind of language. See, before I connected with prayer and fasting, I pretty much had the same attitude myself. Been there, done that. I already did that. And what did it get me? What did it get me? So it was only through connecting with prayer and fasting. I said, oh, we can start this whole thing all over again.
That's right.
See, here's some people who really are like the people that I used to be around prior to 75, who were excited about prayer, excited about fasting, inspiring one another to do these things, enthusiastic about it. Good examples for others, not necessarily condemning dirty glasses, just becoming good, clean glasses themselves. And so it was the inspiration that I received from prayer and fasting that got me to say, hey, well, wait a minute, what did I used to do? I used to do what these people are talking about. I used to do all the stuff that they're talking about. But there was no one around me for, like I was telling one sister, and she was asking, well, where's how come you never speak at Mas Mariam? I said, because I got banned. I got banned. They can't invite me to Mas Mariam. I'm banned. The last time you heard from me at Mas Mariam was in 2008. And I was told after that lecture that they got a lot of complaints from the believers who said that I didn't mention the minister enough times. And so since that time, I've never been invited to speak at Mas Mariam. You see, so that's what's going on. See, it's a quota system. I forgot to ask, well, how many times was I supposed to mention his name?
Wow.
I didn't know how many times I was supposed to mention his name.
You're right.
You see, but if you don't mention it enough, you see, then you get banned. You don't get invited anymore. The only time that I was able to speak at Mas Mariam after that was after the earthquake in Haiti. I went down there to help the people in Haiti, and I wanted to come back and give a report to the nation of what we did down in Haiti to help the people. So they said, okay, we'll let you give a report, which I did in 2010. You know, but I'm not allowed to speak from the rostrum at Mas Mariam. And so another what I'm saying is, you know, like a lot of people, as you get up in age, people make you feel useless.
Yes.
They make you feel like a useless person. Old, worn out, you know, over the hill type feeling. And so, I mean, you kind of go along with that. You know, I have a plus. A lot of people say, what happened to Doc? Don't forget, I am a doctor.
Right.
So I'm in my office, I'm in the clinic, I'm taking care of people. You know, and who are the people that I'm mostly taking care of? I'm crisscrossing the country for 10 years on what I call a road trip. I'm in Memphis, I'm in Dallas, I'm in Detroit, I'm in New York, I'm in Miami, I'm in Atlanta, I'm in San Francisco, San Diego. I'm everywhere, taking care of the minister's people because they're sick. Why are they sick? Because they don't practice how to eat to live. Why don't they practice how to eat to live? Because he doesn't practice how to eat to live. See, the truth of it is, I mean, over all of the years that I've known the minister, and that's a long time. But if you mean the years of the rebuilding effort, I've never known him to eat one meal a day. Every time I've ever visited with the minister, he always has lunch. He always asks me if I want to have a sandwich with him, or a soup and sandwich, or salad, whatever he's having for lunch. I just always, no, I don't. I may have a cup of coffee, but I'm not going to eat lunch. And then there's dinner in the evening after that. So I don't know of any time that I know of that the minister ever ate just one meal a day. You know, I mean,
You know, Doc, there was another point that you had made earlier. Let me see, Minister. I don't know what. Oh yeah, when you said that when the minister didn't take over the nation, and I have that tape too, where he says, "I couldn't take over the nation, and I didn't know what to do. So well, I'm gonna take over, and I'm dumb. I'm dumb in that area." Which, if you look at the minister's life for the last 93 years, you will see that he's extraordinarily ignorant in various aspects of life, particularly when it comes down to the things that we're talking about now, leading a nation. And this is why the messenger told him to run New York, but don't deal with the administrating aspect of it. Because the messenger could see that you're sharp as hell, but you're not sharp at this paperwork stuff. I don't want you dealing with that. So when the minister gets the nation back, he's still got that second to none PR person expression. He's still second to none in that, and he utilized that. That's how he fills stadiums, because he has it. But as far as handling that crowd and facilitating administrative buildings and things like that, I'm as dumb in that as anybody else is dumb at something that they're dumb at. That's not what I'm good at. So now when he gets to Scientology and says we're married and there's no second person there to marry, who's the bridegroom and who's the bride, and he's by himself, it's not about that. They sold me good enough on doing this because I get paid off of this. I don't do this for free. I'm a businessman as far as money concerns, because the minister does get paid off of that. The Scientology does compensate. I talk to people there on what they do. So he gets paid off of this. So yeah, we're gonna wed because they didn't told me a number. And so now I got a number. So yeah, I don't need nobody standing next to me. You just do what I say, dude. Kind of like where Brother Ishmael told you, we don't need dialogue. We don't need dialogue.
they might
Because
need
all
the
I'm gonna
dialysis.
He says, all we gotta do is tell them what to do, and they just do it. He didn't get that from himself, Doc. He got that from the minister.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying? That's not some new teachings that he has. Everything that he does, he get it from the leader. So what we're looking at is when the minister said to us that he has millionaire celebrities that he would never bring to the nation. What? I would never bring them, because he said he had one guy who built planes. He was telling us one day. He said, I would never bring him over here because you would have him out there selling papers. And that's why he don't bring all of these celebrities and have them join the nation. But the real problem is, if you won't have them join the nation, why would you have all these poor believers join the nation? Why would you sabotage the poor believers and have them over here for 30 years and they don't produce nothing, but you got all these millionaires that you say you could bring them in the nation, but you don't want to bring them over here in this, where you sin like you breathe, you sin and you love it, and you'll probably abuse them. But you can abuse these peasants from the streets of America, but you can't abuse my elite celebrity friends, because he's a celebrity. Do you remember anything of that aura, Brother Doc? And you can speak to that.
Well, I think you have to go all the way back prior to 75. And I first became aware of what I'm getting ready to say maybe in 1974, when my minister, David Bachar, in Cincinnati, who was a lawyer, he and his wife were both lawyers, he was appointed by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad as the Attorney General for the Nation of Islam. And he and his wife bought a home in Hyde Park, not far from the palace, because he was going to be spending a lot of time running the affairs of the nation in Chicago. So he needed a home in Chicago. And I helped him to move some of his equipment and office equipment to Chicago, because he was the Attorney General for the Nation of Islam. He was a member of the Council of Laborers of the Nation of Islam appointed by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Minister Farrakhan was also a member of the council that was to run the nation in the absence of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I don't know the actual number of members of that council, but it did include the National Secretary, the Supreme Captain, Minister Farrakhan, David Bacha, and others that I don't necessarily know who they may have been. But they were his top laborers who, as you said, Chief, they were running the great mosque around the country. These were the managers, these were the administrators. You know, the minister was in the parlance of the ministers, I was in the ministry class. I was an assistant minister to Minister Theodore Hamza at that time. So all of the ministers agreed that we had the best PR man in the world in Minister Farrakhan. That was his function. His function wasn't to run a mosque. His function wasn't to run a business or to manage a farm or to command the brothers. Other people were doing that. His function was simple. You represent the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. You articulate it to the world on the radio. You're the voice of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. But you're not the manager. You're not the engine that's making everything run. You're telling everybody that it is running, but you didn't make it run. And so the problem we have today is that we have in front of us people who are actually taking credit for what others did, as the Quran warns us not to do. You shouldn't try to take credit for what others did. But since the Honorable Elijah Muhammad appointed some of those others to assist you, then you should have allowed them to assist you. It may be true that you did not know what to do, but you can't tell me that Abbas Rasul didn't know what to do. You can't tell me that Raymond Sharif didn't know what to do. You can't tell me that David Bacha didn't know what to do. You can't tell me that all of the other members of that council that was supposed to take over the nation in the absence of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, you can't tell me that all of them didn't know what to do. They did know what to do because they were the ones that were making the engine of the nation run. And you were the spokesman of it. But you weren't the one making it happen. You weren't the executive. And so that's part of the fall of the nation, is that the minister did not assemble the council that was to run the nation in the absence of the messenger. And so that council was never allowed to form, and then it became an issue of money, as Minister Rahman from Atlanta, one of the great ministers of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, said, and I'll just quote him exactly. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Rahman said, Farrakhan won all the money. That's what Rahman told me. And so, because I was asking him, well, what happened to all the other ministers? You know, why didn't they come and help the minister? He said, because Farrakhan won all the money. And he put an expletive to it too. Yeah. You see, so you can't lord over these men who were the ministers of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. You can play your role along with them, but you can't lord over them. See, why didn't John Ali come and help the minister? Well, I asked him. I met with John Ali, about 2 years ago? And his answer was very simple. Why didn't I follow Minister Farrakhan? He said, I only follow one man, and that's the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. No one else. I don't care who it is. I only follow the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. That's John Ali. So now, I mean, I didn't press it any further, but evidently he was saying, I don't think the minister's following the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And how could he be if he does not enjoy the same success as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad after the same length of time? How could you be doing the same thing? Well, you're not. It's obvious you're not. Again, quoting my business partner, Brother Michael, he said, you can say whatever you want, but your results are public. So that's all that's going on here. People are saying, well, after all has been said and done, more was said than was ever done. We're looking at the results. These are the results. They're public. It's on full view. The messenger in 1974, through his national secretary, gave a report card. These are the accomplishments that I've done for you. It was very clear what it was. And it was mathematical. It was precise. It was transparent. And so that's all the people are asking for today. Give an account of yourself. Be transparent. Tell us what happened. The good, the bad, and the ugly. That's all that this is really. You see, you know, my pain and blood and sacrifice, was it worth it? Was it worth it? Or did I just waste my time? Was I being deceived?
Of course, it was a deception thing, because who cares about what effort you put in? It's been 18 years and I haven't gave you a call on it. I don't care. I don't care about what Kylie did. I don't care about what you did. Abdul Malik saved me $50 million and I still haven't called him back. I don't care about you guys. I care about myself and my family and what I do. So, I mean, I'm 93, well, I'll be 103 in a minute. If God blesses me to be it, will you all still be talking about me? Then, don't you see, I don't mind, and I won't dissolve the nation, although I don't want to have anything to do with it, obviously, because the principles are too high for me, you know, but I will use you as long as you let me use you. I told you, you sin like you grieve, you sin you love, and I still hang out with you. How do you account for that? So, Doc, you know, I guess we just knock the dust off our shoes and move on to the next time.
Yes. Now, Chief, maybe we can show one or two of those images. I know we've been talking about what we've been talking about, but I did want to make one or two points, because we've arrived at a particular point in time and certain things must be considered. So, and I had previously said that because of the Savior's Day week events, that the subject today was going to be what's next. So I think you have an image there
Can y'all see the
that
screen?
asks, yes, we can see it,
Yes, sir.
that asks that question. See at the bottom right, See the bottom, yeah, there you go, see, okay. So can everyone see that?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So what are you looking at?
The sperm and an egg.
Yeah, you're looking at the moment of conception.
Yep.
So now, if you were a sperm, and once you were, what's your answer to the question? What's next for that sperm?
A baby.
What's next for the egg? You see? See, what kind of world has that spermatozoa been swimming around in? What's its life experience?
Hustling.
What's its life experience? What's its motivation? What's the meaning of its existence as a sperm? Where it has only half of what it takes to be a human being.
Mm.
In the Quran, it says that once we were a single being.
Yeah.
They got split. And so half of it is the sperm, and the other half is the egg. And you can't get a complete human being until the both of them meet up and join.
True.
But the question that I'm asking is, look at yourself today as a single solitary living organism like a sperm or an egg. I'm not really talking sex here. See, what is your life worth by itself? Swimming around in a dark environment. Your life doesn't mean anything.
Mm-hmm.
See, we're showing the one sperm that made it.
Yeah.
How many didn't?
Mm.
So we're looking at the lucky one.
Mm-hmm.
See, the question, what's next, depends on who you are and where you are.
That's right.
See, the 100 million other sperm, what's next for them?
They die.
Yeah, death,
That's a bird.
annihilation.
Mm-hmm.
What about this lucky one here? What's next for him? It's a whole new life that he cannot imagine.
Yeah.
What about the egg? What's next for the egg cell?
What?
It's something so great that the egg cell cannot imagine it.
Mm-hmm.
A magical transformation is getting ready to take place that is beyond the imagination of the sperm and the egg that are directly involved in it. They don't know what's getting ready to happen.
Hmm.
And what is getting ready to happen is so beyond their imagination that it literally boggles the mind that they don't yet have. I mean, you just think about what's getting ready to happen here.
Come on.
This is like a whole new universe opening up, a whole new universe of possibilities. What is the potential behind this? If you think about all of the things that human beings have ever done in 76 trillion years, this is how it all got started. This is how you got started.
Yes.
But now, if all that's happening is there's a sperm wiggling around under a microscope, encountering an egg, well, that in and of itself hardly means anything. See, this by itself hardly means anything. It's an interesting picture. I wonder how they took it. But the more interesting thing is, what exactly is next? What's actually up with this after this occurs? So let's take a look at another image there, Chief. I don't know if they're in order or not. But what happens at this encounter? Well, we can stay here. Yeah, see, they changed the time, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
See, now it says day 17. They say day Ramadan 17. was yesterday. Was that true?
No, sir.
I don't think it was.
No, sir. No.
Now, of course, it depends on what part of the world you're at. See, what day is it right now?
19.
According to what calendar? In what part of the world? What time is it in Mecca? What day is it in Mecca? Right now. What day is it in Indonesia? What day is it in Beijing, China? What time is it in Moscow? See, you see why Einstein said that that time was relative?
Yes, sir.
What time is it on the moon?
Uh-huh.
What time is it on the sun?
Oh, man.
See, time is relative. What is it relative to?
Where you are.
It's relative to you.
Mm-hmm.
Don't leave yourself out.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Time is relative to you. So now they say, according to this, they say yesterday was day 17 of Ramadan. And they said that 1,000 angels descended to take away your illness. Well, is that true for you?
No, sir.
See, again, this is how people get carried away with religious rituals and with religious authorities. Somebody will tell you something like this, and you forget to ask the question, was that really true for me? Now, they say that the night of power, during the latter days of Ramadan, they said that the angels descend on an odd day. And you know, the word odd is a very odd word. It has at least two meanings. It could be numerically odd, 1, 3, 5, 7, all the odd numbers. But odd also has another meaning, doesn't it? Something that's odd is strange, isn't it?
Right.
Yes, sir.
So it would be kind of strange on a night when all the angels descend, wouldn't it? That would be an odd night. That doesn't happen every night. That would be pretty odd, wouldn't it?
Yes, sir.
So now the whole thing I'm trying to get to is to put you in the equation here. See, in a certain way, the other night I had a very odd night. It wasn't the usual night. How about you? Have you been having odd nights lately? Even odd dreams? Odd circumstances, strange things taking place?
Yes, sir.
See, they told you to look for signs in the heavens, and there was the blood moon just the other night, on the basis of a total solar eclipse. And what about the planetary alignment? You see, some people say that hadn't been seen in 6,000 years or 9,000 years. And then there's another conjunction with Neptune and Saturn. They say that hasn't been seen in 9,000 years. And it represents a universal reset. So maybe we're having a series of very odd nights. I know they're having some odd nights over there in Tel Aviv, in those bomb bunkers and shelters. They're having very odd nights. So what I'm saying is, do Ramadan for yourself. Experience Ramadan for yourself. Don't listen to what people tell you. Go see the moon for yourself. See what's true for yourself. And don't be rigidly, indoctrinated into these little categories that they like to put you in. Next image, please.
Come on, go ahead.
See, all this is for you. See, what did Jesus say? Jesus said, the Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. So you have people subordinating themselves to ritualistic practices. No, the ritual was created to help you be a better person, not for you to be subordinate to the ritual.
All right.
Next image,
All
please. Yeah, the Sabbath was made for man. Ramadan was made for man, not man for the Ramadan.
There you go.
So this is where we are. See, I would say a lot of us spend, and it's understandable, we spend so much time and energy, and so much of our attention is on the past. The past is gone. It's dead. Whatever happened, there's nothing you can do about it. And also, see, again, here's that single solitary sperm that made it. Should he really be grieving over all the ones that didn't?
No, sir.
I mean, he was with a whole band of buddies. It was a whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
They all got ejaculated together. One for all and all for one, right? Rally around the flag. We on a mission. We on the uphill journey. We don't know where we're going, but we'll be able to tell when we get there. Well, here's one that got there. Out of all of the ones that set out, many are called, but few are chosen. It's less than few. It's down to one. So now suppose you are that one. See, suppose you're some new life, searching for meaning, trying to get engaged with the universal activity of things. See, that's like getting to the gates of paradise. I mean, to that sperm, hey, it was all or none, right?
Yeah.
Total annihilation or total victory.
Yeah.
If I can just make it to the membrane of that egg cell, hey, I got it made. That's like you and me getting to the gates of paradise. And if it opens up for me, hey, I'm set not for life, I'm set for eternal life. But can I get in? See, what would prevent a sperm from being able to get in? Well, if it doesn't have the proper chemical configuration, if the genetic configuration isn't what it's supposed to be, there's a whole lot of factors, and a lot of it's mysterious. Nobody really knows. It looks like any of them could do, but only one will do. And so that one wins the race and gets the opportunity to enter into the kingdom.
Oh my.
Oh, my.
See, what's on the inside of that egg cell? That's the kingdom. That's the kingdom to come. That's the ruler to come. That's the new heaven, the new earth, the new world, the new reality. That's beyond the imagination of that sperm in its current condition. See, that's us. What will we be like? That's like that sperm trying to say, what will I be like once this development process called gestation is over? And then I'm born out of a womb into the world. What idea do I have about that world that I'm going to be born into in about 9 months? What idea do I have about what I'll look like, what I'll be like, what I can do, what I can't do?
None.
See, that's us now, trying to figure out what we will be like in the kingdom of God.
That's right.
You can't figure that out. It's hard enough just to get there, just to get to the gate. And then you wonder, okay, after all of this long uphill struggle, can I get in? Well, if you're pure enough, if you're good enough, if you're foul and funky, no, you can't come in. Or are you diseased? Do you have syphilis? See, are you dysfunctional? What kind of life germ are you? Are you good and pure and whole? What's your potential? See, now the Islamic scholars say that all of the souls that exist on earth were created at the same time by Allah at the beginning. And he's been trying all of those souls ever since. So now what happened to the other sperm
They died.
that didn't make it?
They didn't make it.
Okay, so what are we talking about with your soul? What happened to all the souls that Allah created from the beginning? He created all of them that ever existed at the beginning at the same time. What happened to all of them? Or mostly all of them?
Didn't make it.
How about yours? See, isn't that the big question?
Yes.
See, you can waste a whole lot of time and energy worrying about what happened to the other ones that are lost. See, most of the people that we're worrying about and sometimes upset about, they're already lost. Don't you know they're already lost?
Yes, sir.
Don't you see them suffering with disease and death and cancer and pain? You already see that. So that doesn't come into the kingdom. When does pain and cancer and suffering? The messenger said no drugs, no medicine in the hereafter. What is that sperm getting ready to carry into this new kingdom that he's entering? He can't even take his tail in there. Do you know that they get stopped at the gate? The only thing that gets allowed into that egg cell from the sperm is the genetic DNA, the chromosomes.
Yes, sir.
All that other stuff, all that mechanical stuff, that tail and all the rest. Oh no, all that gets discarded. That don't come in. You don't come in with no baggage. The only thing that you come in is with the knowledge in the DNA. Let's look at another image, Chief. I think there's one I want to show. Yeah, see the one in the middle there on the top row? Yeah. You see that?
The word.
In the beginning was the word, right?
Yes.
So part of the word was with the sperm, and part of the word was with the egg. So essentially what we're looking at with the meeting of the sperm and the egg is a dialogue getting ready to take place. May I have a word with you? The sperm says to the egg. And the egg says, yes, may I have a word with you? Well, what word are we talking about? The word written in the DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid, the genetic code, the genetic language. In the beginning was the Word. The Word was with God. May I have a word with you? May I have a word within you? See, look at you. There is a word within you. There's a word within me. May I have a word with you? That's an invitation to dialogue. So the sperm says, I have something to share with you. The egg says, I have something to share with you. It's going to be an even exchange. And both of us will benefit. And no telling what may happen. But whatever will happen will be miraculous.
Yes, sir.
Now you see where the sperm head is touching the membrane of the egg, you see that flash of light there?
Yes, sir.
See, that's not an artist's effect. That's actually what happens. As soon as the sperm touches the egg, there is a flash of light, a green light. And that is the exact moment of conception when a new life begins.
Allahu
It
Akbar.
begins with a dialogue. May I have a word with you? Next image, please.
Wow.
Yeah, wow.
Mhm.
Yeah, see, many are called, but who is chosen? So go to the one on the end, on the top. See, there it is. See, now this is an actual photograph of the moment of conception. And there's a brilliant flash of light. Now this is just in black and white, but it's actually green, a green flash of light. So now this corresponds to what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us in his Savior's Day lecture in 1969, The Knowledge of God Himself, where he talked about the atom of life. He was going back to the beginning of God Himself. And he talked about an atom of life that was turning in the darkness, spinning in the darkness, and it sparkled in the darkness. And that was the beginning of the self-creation of God Himself. So what we're looking at here is not the God of the beginning. This is not 76 trillion years ago. How old are you? Well, if you're 50, hey, this is what you were like 50 years ago at the moment of your conception, when the sperm met the egg, a brilliant flash of light. So from your very beginning, as an atom of life, you were full of light, life and power. Next image, please. There's another image that that's Muhammad Speaks front page. Maybe I don't see it there. No, that's not the one I was looking for. I guess I didn't send it. I don't see it. But go to the one on the lower left, and we'll probably finish with this. See, we asked the question previously, how shall a circle of gods, or how shall a nation of gods, rule itself? Well, we already know the answer to that. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that the Nation of Islam has been ruled by a circle of scientists, 12 major scientists, 12 minor scientists. And they confer with one another in a circle of dialogue. Now, the Bible and Quran agree, wherever 2 or 3 of you are gathered together in my name, there I am also in the midst of you. So as long as Allah is in the midst, you see, then anything can be discussed by these scientists. Well, the scientists aren't the only one that can convene a dialogue. And if they're wise enough to convene dialogue, how foolish are we not to do the same thing? And so, remember, the topic today is what's next. See, what's next after a magnificent Savior's Day week? Remember, at the beginning of the year, it was you and I, even though we weren't necessarily formally in a circle, but it's you and I that came up with the call for a national lawful deliberative dialogue to help address the issues of our nation. And because we made that call in the name of Allah,
Allahu Akbar.
then here we are 3 months later, and the national lawful deliberative dialogue has begun.
Allahu Akbar.
We managed to have some of the scientists join the circle of dialogue. Some of the scientists didn't show up. But that's okay. Whoever shows up, it only has to be 2 or 3. gather together in my name, then I am also in the midst of them. So it's not a matter of who didn't show up. The matter is a matter of who did show up in the name of Allah, in the person of Master Fawad Muhammad, to launch this national lawful deliberative dialogue that affects all of us. Whether you show up or not, it affects you. You can't deny that it affects you. You have to answer these questions. Those of you who are outside the circle of dialogue. You could join the circle of dialogue and answer the questions yourself that only you can answer. Some of the questions that are coming up in the dialogue are puzzling because we don't have the exact information. So we need someone to come and give us a report about these various things. Give a report, give a presentation so that we can get answers and not engage in speculation and rumor mongering. And I'm imagining what somebody was thinking and what their motivations may have been. I don't want to make up stuff and then charge somebody with something that I made up. I want to know the actual facts. So in the Supreme Wisdom instructions to the laborers, the secretary is supposed to come and put a report on the board. So let the secretary come and give us a report. So we actually have answers to the questions that are burning in the minds and hearts of so many people. Share with us the truth. And then we know what the truth is. And then by the truth, then we will be able to gauge what we need to do. But if you withhold the truth, you see, then how can we know what to do? So wherever two or three are gathered together in my name, don't forget, that could be you and your wife. See, dialogue doesn't have to be about these nutty issues having to do with the nation. So you got a problem in your personal life. You got a problem with your wife. Or your wife has a problem with you. Well, the two of you need to engage in lawful deliberative dialogue and solve your problem. You got a problem in your family. You got a problem on the workplace. You got problems everywhere. And the answer to all of it is, why don't you just engage in lawful deliberative dialogue with the people who are concerned so these problems will just go away, so we can get something done? It's just that easy. But if you will not do it, you see, then the problems never get solved and the condition of the nation never changes. Now, the final point I wanted to make is that I don't want people to overlook the fact that even as we are making efforts with all our might in the name of Allah and his messenger to save ourselves, and it's really up to us to save ourselves, to do something for ourselves. But yet we can't be selfish. We're doing it for ourselves in the singular sense, but self also has a collective meaning. So we're doing it for one another. We're doing it for the collective whole. But don't forget now that all of us have a tremendous debt that we owe to Minister Farrakhan. And even though you weren't there, I was there.
Right.
When he said to me, I don't think that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad would be pleased with me if I left the nation of Islam in the condition that it's in. Would you please help me to improve the condition of the nation of Islam? And that was the beginning of the commission for the restructuring and reorganization of the nation of Islam so that the condition of the nation of Islam could be changed to the point that it would be pleasing to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Why would you want Minister Farrakhan to go meet with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad for the second time, knowing that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is going to be displeased with him because you haven't changed the condition of the nation? Don't you have any regard for the minister at all? We have to change the condition of the nation so that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad will be pleased with him. What do you think it means if the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is displeased with Minister Farrakhan? What do you think that means? It's like one of those sperm that didn't make it. Don't you want the minister to make it? Come on, talk back to me.
Yes.
Or are you mad at him? You angry at him?
It's crazy.
No, we want him to make it. We don't want him to be like Moses. Look what happened to Moses. After Moses did all that work, and then he looked over and saw the promised land but couldn't get there. That's not what you want for the minister, is it? Don't you want to be in the hereafter with him? So in other words, so it's on us to change the condition of the nation, even though we thought that was one more thing that he should do.
Listen.
But maybe it's one more thing that we should do. If the messenger told him there's one more thing that you have to do before you can see me, hey, well, maybe that applies to us too. Maybe there's one more thing we need to do if we want to get in the kingdom. And if that one more thing is to build the 9 ministries, even if the minister wouldn't do it or couldn't do it, hey, what about us? Can we do it?
Oh, yes.
And what happens if we don't? See, that's an open-ended question, isn't it? What's next? What's next depends on what you do.
Right.
What you do now, then that determines what's next. If you keep doing what you've been doing, then what's next is total annihilation.
That's right.
But if you do something that you have never done, which is to jump up and organize yourself, hey, then you have a chance to inhabit the kingdom of God. So the choice is clear. And it's not all up to Minister Farrakhan. The condition of the Nation of Islam, not all his fault. When the minister asked me to eat lunch, I said no. Just because it was him, that didn't make it right.
Yeah, that's powerful.
No, I don't eat lunch, Minister Farrakhan.
Right?
I don't care who you are, I don't eat lunch. You see, so that's just a little thing in one sense. But what about all the other little things? The little lenient things. I overlook the makeup. You know? MGT walking around with makeup and baseball caps on. What kind of MGT is that? I'm just asking the question. What would the Honorable Elijah Muhammad say about FOI walking around in athletic sports suits? He wouldn't be pleased. Well, that's the condition of the nation now.
Yeah.
People walking around dressed up like slaves. You got Muslims, dressed all, they don't mind come out in public in a t-shirt and blue jeans, dressed up like a field slave.
Come on, Doc.
I thought Islam dignified. What's dignified about that?
Nothing.
You see, so we got to get back on the right track. And in order to get back on the right track, one of the things that really helps is to have good examples in front of us. What should the MGT look like? I mean, I feel sorry for these sisters nowadays. You have hardly even seen a real MGT. It's not your fault that you don't know what you're doing.
Yes, sir.
You got people in front of you that don't know what they're doing.
You should.
When were they ever trained as an MGT? And they trying to train you.
That's
That just doesn't work. As you can see, it doesn't work.
They changed the training then, Dr. Ali. They changed it.
Yeah, they changed it. And that's why it doesn't work, because they changed it. So let's change it back to the way it's supposed to be. And I was so happy because I finally listened to a lecture by the brother Melchizedek.
Yes.
Yeah, see that he's of the generation of people that taught me. See, I'm in my 70s, he's in his 90s, like the minister. See, his generation was the generation, I'm standing on his shoulders and people like him. And you see how he makes that presentation? He calls a snake. He calls a bloodsucker a bloodsucker.
Right.
He calls a hypocrite a hypocrite. He does not use euphemisms. That's what sends you astray. People not calling things by their right name. A hypocrite is a hypocrite.
That's right.
And a snake is a snake.
Unsugarcoatable. That's right.
How can you tell it's a snake? Because if they bite you, it's poison. There's
Yes,
poison in their
yes.
bite.
Ding, Kings, call it what it is.
So a snake will poison you, and that's why we handle snakes in a certain way. You can't deny if a bloodsucker is a bloodsucker. Take everything from you and give nothing back. That's a parasite. You say, why don't we have anything? Because the bloodsucker got it all.
Right.
And of course, you have some people dumb enough. Hey,
Don't get top started.
they tell the mosquito, suck all my blood. Tell the vampire, take all my blood. Because they think it's a holy act of sacrifice. Take food off their tables. Their family's starving. Can't pay their rent. But sending thousands and thousands of dollars to people who are millionaires. What kind of sense does that make? And you tell me that's not blood sucking of the poor. And you got lessons that describe that activity. And you act like you don't know nothing.
Right.
So again, that's pretty much what I had to say this morning. I wanted to show the beginning of a new life.
Yeah.
And it begins with a dialogue, with an exchange of genetic information, exchange of words, a biological, biochemical, genetic dialogue is the beginning of life. And that dialogue must continue in all of its dimensions and aspects throughout a person's life. Even within yourself, you're having a dialogue right now. You know, you're having a conversation in your own head, you know, about what you think is right and what you think is wrong. When someone invites you to participate in dialogue, that helps you to organize your own thoughts, because now you actually have to have a point of view. When you live in the life of a confused Negro, you don't have to have a point of view on anything. But when you sit down in some serious dialogue, hey, you have to develop a point of view. You actually have to learn how to focus your mind, focus your thoughts in one direction. And come to the point of what's at issue. You see, so I wanted to show you that life begins with light and dialogue. And dialogue produces more light. So we're born into a universe of light, but that's still not enough.
Yeah.
You need more light, don't you?
Yes, sir.
Even though you're not exactly in total darkness, but you don't have enough light to see your way. So how do you generate more light? Through dialogue, through a meeting of the minds. And then there's a flash of light, a flash of brilliance, and insight is gained, new information, new knowledge, and the chance to form a consensus on truth. That's all that happens with the sperm and the egg. They come to an agreement. Hey, we can join up. I like what you're saying and you like what I'm saying. Hey, we can join forces and see. Let's see what happens. And we know what happens. They give birth to God. That's what happens. If I put my word with your word, we come up with God. Because God was always there in the midst. Where's the DNA? Where's the God within you? It's within, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
It's not without. It's within.
Yes, sir.
So in the beginning was the Word. The Word was God. The Word was with, well, I would say the Word was within God. So the Word of God is within each and every one of us, at the center of each and every one of the 76 trillion cells that make up the totality of our bodies. So there at the center of every cell is God, the same God that was there at the beginning in the original dialogue that emerged from the original dialogue of the sperm and the egg cell. And that was your origin. And if you want to keep going with this existence that started with dialogue, that started with light, then you have to continue to engage in dialogue within yourself, having those internal talks, those internal meditations with yourself, with the self-accusing spirit, but also being willing to engage in dialogue with others. And primarily, engaging in dialogue with others is not having so much to say yourself, but predominantly engaging in dialogue is listening. Most of the time that you will spend in dialogue is listening to what others have to say and gaining from what they have to say, and then learning to put it all together in a synergistic way, in a syntopic way, to gain a higher understanding and a higher truth that will be the solution to a problem or an issue. It will be a higher understanding and a consensus on truth that will reconcile all differences and lay them aside. So there will be no reasonable disagreement among us. And then with that consensus on truth, that gives us perfect unity to move out on. And with that perfect unity and consensus on truth, there's nothing that can't be done. There's nothing that can't be done. So let's line ourselves up and get that done. So what I'm calling for, to be very specific about what's next, I'm seconding the motion already made by Attorney Malik Zulu Shabazz. He wants to have a conference on the 21st of March as a follow-up to what we already did last week. So I'm seconding that motion, and I'm saying I think we ought to do it. We need to, if nothing else, I know there's a lot of other things, but if nothing else, we need to form a National Security Council. See, all of our lives are at risk in so many ways. And so if we don't do anything else, we may not have time to put together all of the 9 ministries and task forces. We can do as much as we can, but we need to at least have a centralized National Security Council that will address the immediate issues that are threatening us. When you see the events that are taking place in the world, you can't think that we are immune to all of the things that are taking place in the world, and we can just sit around here and drink coffee and eat bean pie and talk theology. No, we got to do much more than that. So maybe we should convene, especially among the leadership that we have in our community, a National Security Council, so that we discuss the most pertinent issues that affect us, so that we can do the best that we can to protect ourselves and do something for ourselves with the help and protection of Allah. So I think that's all I wanted to say, and I hope that something that I said was meaningful to you and will help you through today and tomorrow and into the future, so that you and I together, all of us together, will determine what's next and not leave it up to somebody else who may not even like us.
Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar.
Wow.
Praise be to Allah. Praise be to Allah.
That's a lot.
Is it?
Yes, sir.
No, it was beautifully laid out. That was, we got a hand up. We got Brother James. Assalamu alaikum, Brother James. Alaikum, Brother James.
Walaikum salam. I don't know about anybody else, but I feel like I got a strong foundation from this talk this morning.
Mm-hmm.
And the question is, how strong is your foundation? And, can we survive?
Yeah.
Dr. Alim opened up some real important secrets the way he illustrated.
Yes, sir.
And I did have one question I wanted Dr. Alim. I know we've been long here, but the acronym DNA. How many letters are in the actual spelling of that word?
I never counted them. Can't count them and see. Deoxyribonucleic acid.
I believe it's 19.
It may be deoxyribonucleic acid.
Yeah, I think there's 19 letters in that word. And there is a secret to the 19, to the number 19. And I'm going to stop it at that. I'm excited about what we're doing.
Okay. And you asked the question, how strong is the foundation? Can we survive? Well, what is the foundation? What is the foundation composed of? The foundation is prayer and fasting.
Right.
So people who don't pray and people who don't fast, they can't survive. It's just that simple.
That's
And you see that they are not surviving,
Along with that.
or they're not surviving very well. They're not prospering. They're not being successful. You see, because they don't have a strong foundation, which is prayer and fasting. So they're being swept away by events.
You're right.
Praises be to Allah. We have 2 more hands up. We have Sister Shirley Ann, your sister Sania. I'm going to have you come right behind her. Go ahead, Sister Shirley Ann.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
This was a really inspiring topic, Doc. And what touched me is what I'm interested in is how can we save Minister Farrakhan if he don't want to be saved? You know, we'll do all we can, but and we are doing all we can, and he's not responding. He prefers money. So I'm saying we will continue to try to inspire him, but he's hypocritically denying prayer and fasting and how to eat to live. And we hope that, like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, he hoped that he doesn't change the word. And if he does, that he'll be able to come back. Well, can the nation, what I saw in all of this is that at the time when he started receiving funds from Scientology, Scientology did not want to give him funds as a donation, so he had to have a cooperation in order to receive the funds. And if he didn't have it before then, or already be incorporated. So, but, and if we are going to help them, the whole name, NOI, has to be changed. Well, we can keep NOI and just add something else to it, but how is that? I just say that he's been a blood-sucking hypocrite.
Well, of course, we all have the right to our opinion, and that's the beauty of deliberative dialogue. And that's why we invite everyone to speak for him or herself. The Quran says you will not be asked what others did. You know, you will only be asked concerning what you did. And so that's what my concern is. My concern isn't so much, at least at this point, what Minister Farrakhan did or what he didn't do or what he will do, or anybody for that matter. I'm concerned about what am I getting ready to do? Am I a blood-sucking hypocrite? You know?
Right.
I don't know whether somebody else is or not. I don't know whether somebody got money from Scientology or not. That's why I want a report. I don't want to speculate and accuse somebody of something and it's not even true. It's on the level of a rumor. So put the facts on the board. Give us the report so we can see for ourselves. Then when we form an opinion or a judgment, it will be based on facts. Otherwise, and that's the terrible thing about being kept in the dark. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, it's a problem laborer who keeps his fellow laborers in the dark. And so that's what I felt like as the chairman of the commission. I couldn't really do my job because I was being kept in the dark. Why couldn't I see the financial records? Why couldn't I see this? Why couldn't I see that? I'm trying to bring about the change in the reorganization and the restructuring. How come I can't look at those files? You see? So that's all we're asking for. Because without transparency, you know, if people don't know the actual facts, well then your imagination starts making up facts. And that's not fair. And then that is harmful to your own soul. Because suppose you're accusing somebody unjustly. They're not guilty of what you say they're guilty of.
Yeah, a lot, yeah.
You see, so again, that's why we need to convene this Congress or this conference, this National Security Council, to invite all of those that have have some say in the matter, and that would include Minister Farrakhan, of course. And then you can ask him the question about the money of Scientology or everything else. I don't know the answer to these questions. He has the answer. The National Secretary knows. The Supreme Captain knows. Brother Ishmael knows. So again, you have to ask the question to the people who actually have the answers. And sometimes, they'll give you the answer. That's what you want. That's desirable. But it's just like the Epstein files. How come President Trump won't answer the questions about the Epstein files? How come they won't release the reports? See, it makes you wonder, well, what is there to hide?
Right.
You don't know the actual facts, so you can't say for sure, but it sure looks suspicious. So Trump needs to come clean so that the country will be at ease, that he's not a pedophile and a rapist and a sexual predator. And so the Nation of Islam is the same. We just need to see the facts so that then we know that our minister is not any of these terrible things that people want to call him.
Right.
I don't know if he's a bloodsucker. I don't know if he's a hypocrite. I don't know. We need the report. We need the actual facts.
Yes, sir.
I hope I'm not a hypocrite. I hope I'm not any of these bad things.
Right.
There you go.
Right.
See, when I came in the nation, they said, be careful how you accuse people. You point your finger, and you got 3 fingers pointing back at yourself,
Back at you.
and your thumb is pointed up to Allah, who's the judge over all. So you better be careful with that kind of thing, accusing people.
How do you determine then that the nation can be reorganized?
How do you determine it?
Yeah,
You determine it. You determine it. Who else is going to determine it except you and me? See, there are. Listen. There are people. Listen, please.
to the problems.
Listen. It's real simple. There are people who are determined to see to it that the Nation of Islam never rises. And then there are other people who are determined that it will rise. So now which side are you on? Which side am I on? See, we have to decide. So I'm on the side that says that the nation will rise and never fall again.
Yes, sir.
Now, I'm not sitting back waiting to see if somebody else is going to make that come true. I'm going to do all I can to make it come true, and I hope other people feel the same way. At the same time, realizing that there's a whole nother group of people who are just as determined, even more determined, to make sure that that never happens. And so we're in a contention.
Let's go, right?
And our greatest weapon, if you want to use it, is the truth. So right now, we don't have enough of the truth to wage effective battle against falsehood. So how do we increase our inventory of truth? Through deliberative dialogue, like we're doing right now. And as more and more truth comes out, you see, then that ups our ability to handle the lies and the falsehoods that have led the nation astray. And it set so many of us up for punishment and wrath. I mean, that's literally, see, we're not just trying to save the minister, but think about all of the people that have been misled. And they're out there suffering. And they're wondering what went wrong. But they don't know enough of the true history or the root teachings, like I like to call it, to even figure out what really went wrong. They're out here on a limb, on the branch of a tree, getting ready to fall off because they don't know how to connect to the tree itself and the root that the tree is grounded in. And so one of the things that we have to do is bring back the root teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Because you have a generation or maybe 2 generations, even 3 generations, they never even heard it.
Far from the teachings.
There are some people in the Nation of Islam, if you played a tape of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad right now, they wouldn't even recognize his voice. They wouldn't even recognize his voice. I mean, my goddaughter was raised in the nation. And when she was staying with me a couple years back, I put the Honorable Elijah Muhammad on. She asked me who that was. I said, that's your leader and teacher. Oh. Because the only voice she ever heard was Minister Farrakhan. She never heard the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. One sister, she texted me last week after I had things, positive and wonderful things to say about Brother Melchizedek. This sister texted me back. She said, well, I listened to him. He sound like he's country that moved up into the big city, but he's country as hell. I said, well, sister, I guess if you have that opinion about Melchizedek, I guess you would have said the same thing about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
That's right.
Because he was country that moved up to the big city. What did he sound like if not country? And you looking down your nose at people that you think are country. So again, you see, that's the dilemma that so many of the younger generation in the nation are faced with. They don't even know the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
That's right.
And if they have to, and actually, see, she found out that she really would not have joined the Nation of Islam prior to 75. See, she's somebody that thinks that she's a real Muslim, but actually, she would have been one of those that would have made mockery of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in how he talked. And she considers herself to be a Muslim today. No, you're not. No, you're not.
Nope.
So these are the things that we have to straighten out among people, so then they have enough factual information, enough historical information about what they're involved in. So then they can make proper decisions about what they want to do. See, if we impose the same discipline today on people in the Nation of Islam that was in the nation with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, probably 3/4 of the people would leave. They would leave. They wouldn't last 30 days.
Right.
I mean, how would it affect you if I told you right now, turn off your television? That's what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us. He said we couldn't watch television. You could watch the news, and every now and then a special program you might watch. No TV, no movies. Well, what would you do without your TV and without your movies? See, you would have to make that choice. Do I really want to be in the nation and help the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, or would I really want to stay with my television? And most people, they would choose television over the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. See, and so again, we have to get real. What kind of person did you have to be willing to give up television, give up movies, give up going to white people's restaurants, give up everything that is so common among people today? See, that's why, see, the actual numbers of people active in the Nation of Islam was never all that great. It was never all that great because the majority of people, they love television. They love going to movie shows. They love doing what they're doing, just like today. But now because the discipline is so lax, see, you can do all those things and still stay in the nation. And they say you're in good standing. When if you did any of those things, you went to the movies back then, hey, that's automatic 30 days out of the mosque. Somebody say you coming out the movies, hey, that's 30 days out. Just that simple. So how many people today could put up with that kind of discipline? See, back then, the FOY, we kind of adopted the attitude of the U.S. Marines. A few good men. A few good men getting the job done. So when we looked at our lost found brothers and sisters, you know, are you good enough to be with us? This is the A team. Are you good enough to be with us? Can you roll with us? Because we ain't playing. We don't need no Rudy Poots with us. So we were like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, we were just as happy to see a bad one go as we were to see a good one come.
Yes,
We
sir.
don't want no weak, slack-talking brothers around us.
Yes, sir.
So we weren't after numbers, trying to have a huge number of brothers, a huge number of sisters. No, the ones we had, they had to be 100%.
Yes, sir.
And that's how the nation was built. And those that weren't necessarily that strong or disciplined, oh yeah, they were on the periphery. You know, they bought a paper every week. They bought your bean pie, they bought your fish. You see? But they weren't on the inner core. They weren't the hardcore FOI, hardcore MGT.
Maybe.
I mean, how many people you know gonna sell 900 papers every week? Rain, snow, rail, hail, earthquake. You out there selling that paper. And see, that's what's wrong with a lot of these people who are in front of us. They never did that. I mean, how many papers did Brother Ishmael ever sell? And he talking to somebody, I used to sell 900 papers a week. How many did you sell? And I wasn't even in the top 10. Don't think I'm boasting. No, I wasn't even in the top 10. When they gave the report in the mosque on Sunday, my name didn't even get mentioned. Because I was selling 900, but there was brothers selling 2,000, 3,000 papers a week.
Wow.
I didn't even get mentioned. So here you standing in front of me, and you haven't sold the first paper? How you going to impress me? What else did you do? If you wasn't doing that, what else did you do? What are you known for? What are your accomplishments that I'm supposed to respect you for?
Yes, sir.
See, people have to have answers to that.
Yes, sir.
If you ask me what I did, I can tell you what I did. So you need to put the same test to all these others. What did you do?
Right.
Prior to 75, what exactly did you do?
Yes.
What was your record? Who was your captain? Who was your secretary? Who was your minister? How much fish did you sell? How many customers did you have? I mean, these are just very practical questions.
Yes, sir.
And what you'll find out is a lot of people that are trying to lead you and teach you, they don't have any resume like that. They didn't do any of those things. They're trying to teach you how to cook and they don't know how to cook. They're trying to teach you how to sew and they can't show you a garment that they ever sewed.
Right.
They're trying to teach you how to take care of your husband and they don't have a husband.
That part.
See, again, so it's just ridiculous. It's just a clown show.
Yes, sir.
And so what goes on now today under the name Nation of Islam doesn't even deserve the name Nation of Islam, in my opinion. Call it something else. At least Wallace had the decency to not call it the Nation of Islam. He called it the Bilalian Nation.
Oh, my.
So at least he had the decency to change the name so you know it's not the same thing.
Right.
So I found, hell, I'm not a Bilalian. I'm a black Muslim. So I must be in the wrong place.
Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Alim. We have 2 more hands up, and I think they might have questions for you. Did you still have time?
Yes, of course, I do.
Okay. Brother Fatir, you're usually very compact, so I'm going to have you go, and then I know my sister Samia is very formal and sets it up nicely. So, Brother Fatir, go ahead first, please.
Assalamu alaikum, family. Ramadan Mubarak.
Ramadan Kareem.
As I hear the reminder of our nation Dr. Alim, who is helping our mentor, our chief, the ways of ascent. The ways of ascent will proceed to go on. This is not a madman message. This is not Dr. Alim. This doctor is not a madman. Allah says that he is the pen, and the inkstand is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there was two 1,400 years ago, Hassan and Katab. And those two was a sign of these two. The ways of ascent, Chief Mal Ghanar, and the reminder of our nation, Dr. Alim. By the inkstand and the pen and that which they write, by the grace of thy Lord thou art not mad. But as I proceed to dissect the Quran as we were taught in the belly of the beast, to dissect it in a decisive way, not allegorical. But then they called out one another in the morning, as them two do 7 days of the week. And in the morning they went, having the power to prevent. But you say, Fatir, Dr. Alim is a reminder of the nation. You can't argue me not. Sit down. You can't argue me not. But then as I continue to dissect the Quran, the nation failed in 1974. And my teacher, who I love dearly, who woke this Negro vice lord womanizer up, Minister Farrakhan, he took the seat of our teacher, the Honorable Glorious. But he didn't wrap himself up. And it says in Surah 74, O thou who wrap thyself up. You see these two brothers, my chief and my Dr. Alim, wrap themselves up. Well, you and brother and sister, you and I, we have to wrap ourselves up too. And O thou who wrappest thyself up, arise and warn. Well, I plead to you, my teacher, Minister Farrakhan, as I have tears in my eyes, and as I feel the Holy Spirit, as we call goosebumps. Where you think praying and fasting came from, Minister? We watch you. We watch you. Do you hear our chief? We watch you. We come from the belly of beast. We looked at y'all as heroes. Now we found out that y'all zeros. You rose and you won, and that's why we have a tape of you, Minister. The only way you can get your absolute original power, you must pray and fast, and you hear our chief record it back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and you call my chief a hypocrite. Well, one of his top fishermen who was a witness of him in the belly of the beast and who argued among my nation brothers, and I knew who he was in the belly of the beast, and he fits that description. I don't care what no one says, and as I say, Dr. Alim is the pen, he is, and I can bear witness through the scriptures. This is not Fatir's word. This is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Master Farad Muhammad. He said you could beat anyone up with this book, the Holy Quran. And as I do as a student, I'm not beating my teacher up, Minister Farrakhan. We just showing you a mirror. We love you. And if you call yourself a nation, all nations have a 9 ministries. You can call it how you want it. You can never call yourself a nation without the 9 ministries. But if you want those 9 ministries, you have to have the prescription, and that's praying and fasting.
That's right.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Well, I don't think I need to respond to that. That speaks for itself. That's self-evident truth.
Beautiful.
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for the opportunity. I wanted to express gratitude. I wanted to do that because I feel like it's absolutely necessary for myself. And I say that because, Brother Dr. Alim, the analogy with the sperm and the egg and all the different phases you took us through, including the light and the darkness, I have to say, with all honesty, that same analogy and program that we learned here, right here in the classroom of prayer and fasting via Brother Malik. And in saying that, what it did for me was in a mathematical term, it put a check of truth on from Malik's side of the equation. On the other side of the equal equation, the equal sign of the equation that was your side of it, it verified and checked it for me and made it truth. If you understand what I'm saying.
Yes, I do.
And I greatly appreciate that. And also, what I wanted to say that I can also bear witness by being a student of the Scientologist per Brother Minister's instructions, and you said you were there that day, so I know you can bear witness to that.
Yes.
I was instructed. I skipped through because, I did the exam, and the exam determined that I didn't need Dianetics, and I was pushed up to study technology, which the minister at that time had not introduced it to, the rest of the believers. Only those of us who were instructed to do the study technology at Applied Scholastics International in St. Louis was aware of this commission. And I can bear witness that the entire time I thought, I was under the understanding per the minister that we were going to qualify all the ministers in the nation, and that we had accepted the 9 ministries because that was supposed to be our role. Although at the time I was an EKG technician and I was in the Ministry of Health Services, Health and Human Services, and I never knew that it was ever put to the side until I was handed my 1-page statement that I was instructed to write to be eligible to take on the study. It gave us the online studies to qualify for the day at the farm. Until I didn't know that it had even stopped, because as far as I knew, we were continuing with it until you expressed that to me. And so thank you so much for updating us, because I had no idea why they handed all my materials that were submitted and held in the secretary's office back to me. They just gave it back to me, and I was the only one in my local mosque that even took up those instructions and participated. But on a different note, I wasn't even allowed to go to the farms. I was instructed regionally and locally that I could not go, and my laborers went in my place, and I even had the online invite, the emailed invite to go. So I just followed instructions, but I did want to say that I not only learned in this classroom, I learned in Brother Jabril's classroom, because I was a child in Riverside Mosque in California under his guidance. I also learned in Brother Alim Muhammad's classroom, because I was under his instruction, and also Abdul Karim, who the messenger sent to 27 prior to 75, and he's still on his post. I learned in all, and the ministers' classrooms. So how I personally, and many more, how I personally do this is I take on the posture that what is affecting me and my growth? Is it beneficial to me? Is it beneficial to me to reach my goal in becoming in oneness with Allah? And is it beneficial to me to keep my word, my sole purpose, with my signature on my letter to deliver my people to the Lamb of God? I understand. And it also, I wanted to say that we all, like the brother minister says, we are all pieces of junk in the junk pile. Of course, we want to move out of that junk pile. I think by him humanizing himself, along with the rest of us, it's our decision whether or not we want to idolize brother minister. It's our decision and choice if we want to ignore his faults when he says he has them. He makes them very transparent, as the same as Brother Malik. It's up to us if we want to ignore what he's saying to us. Look, I made a mistake. I didn't do everything I was supposed to do, or I eat more than one meal a day. It's up to us to idolize him and to follow what he's doing, what he's saying is wrong himself. Or it's up to us whether we want to take the good and leave the bad, which we can't use behind. And by them representing themselves and being transparent and discussing their impediments or downfalls, that helps to keep me grounded and not idolizing them. I have to work towards placing them as a God beside God. In other words, this is what I'm saying. I hope you all understand what I'm trying to express, but I hope it's useful for others. When I took on the higher study at the Applied Scholastics International, I was on course with Brother Minister's daughter, Colliday. And I truly have to say that the teachings gave me enough groundedness to understand that these people, because they are white people, they are true to their nature. And I can say it with every ounce of my being via experience. When I had to go stay there in their dorms, I took my two very young grandchildren that I was raising, 8 and 10 years old. I put them in the University of Islam in St. Louis. But the brother director became ill and was hospitalized. And when that happened, I had to put them in the school because there's a school there for the employees' children. And I put them in that school. And there was a day that I had to, I don't know, you know how you follow your first mind? I was just driven to go check on them. And apparently there was an incident. They weren't even going to tell me. And okay, I apologize. Okay.
I can't hear you, Sunil.
You stop speaking, sir. Sister Denise?
She got muted.
Oh, yes. Can I have another 30 seconds or a minute to land my plane?
20 seconds, let's go.
Yes, sir. Okay, so to make a long story short, all the children were engaged in mischief. And the other children were sent to their parents, the employees' children. And my 8 and 10-year-old grandson, I found them using harsh chemicals, cleaning the floors of the bathroom with a toothbrush and a small rack. And I just want to say that we have to maintain our teachings in whatever we do. And I also wanted to say, bear witness to, yes, sir, they do basically force feed us, and I maintain my teachings, and I always disappeared, told them I wanted to have lunch with the boys, and I would take it to my room, and I wouldn't eat it. I couldn't do it.
No further answer.
Doc, you got anything you want to say in closing?
Well, I really enjoy listening. As I said earlier, the most important part of dialogue is listening. It's not so much what you have to say, although what you have to say is very important and vital. But the biggest part is what other people have to say. And when you listen to other people, then you find out the reality of their lives and what they're faced with. And then you know, or better know, how to respond to their situation. So let me look at my notebook. I think I said what I wanted to say. Let me make sure. Yeah, I think I said what I needed to say. I'm looking forward to getting the details of what Attorney Malik Zulu Shabazz wants to do on the 21st of March. I'm calling for a Congress, or a National Congress, a National Security Council, an emergency meeting, to convene all of our leadership, community supporters, all of our people, all of those who represent the various aspects of who we are as a people. We need to all come together in the national deliberative dialogue because we are literally faced with an emergency and we need to respond to it. And we need to let our people know that we are responding to it, that we do have a programmatic response to these issues, that there is a way out of what seems to be interminable dilemmas. So that's what I'm looking forward to. And I would urge all of you to get the manual on deliberative dialogue on Amazon and get the commissioner's workbook. Those questions that are in the workbook are the questions that gave rise to the 9 ministries. So you want to get to the root of everything. So go through that workbook. The workbook is not for you to ask me what the answer to the questions are. The workbook asks a lot of questions for you to answer. It's for you to come up with the answers. And then later, you see, I put my answers with the answers that you came up with, and then we have that synergistic effect, where we come up with a higher understanding based on what I did and what you did. So the commissioner's workbook is just that. It is a workbook. It is for you to work those problems, answer those questions, and then that prepares you to engage in the next level of dialogue to actually solve the problems. You see, so do your homework, get the manual on dialogue and get the workbook, and then by the 21st of March, we may be ready enough to actually convene a National Security Council. So thank you for being with us. I'm going to sign off on YouTube, and I'm going to get on with my day. May Allah bless and keep you. May He protect you. May He have mercy and forgiveness for all of us. May Allah not punish us if we forget or make a mistake. And may He grant us success, prosperity, and victory over the disbelieving people. So in the name of Allah, the one who came to us in the person of Master Fawad Muhammad, and in the name of his messenger, let me greet you with the greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. Allahu Akbar. Takbir. Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar. We had 2 hands up. Mother Ollie, and I believe Sister Sonia has a brother who is a guest of